Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It is September. Can you believe it? Where's the time go? The year is almost done. And I don't feel like I've really had a chance to enjoy the summer. So, yeah, kind of depressing. But the weather's really nice. The weekend should be nice. And it's a long weekend here. And the kiddies go back to school on Tuesday. So don't envy them that, but I don't know, whatever. If you're here, say hello. Let me know you're here and give the video a like if you like my content. Ixie's in the background entertaining herself, so you might hear her make some noise every now and then. Rachel P., hello. So, yeah, been a weird week for me anyway. I've been busy working on the decode for the Plain Lady, and then I've also been doing research on the Maui fires. That's been interesting. So that's kind of dominating my little territory here. And the surprise pop-up video that happened with the Plain Lady the other day kind of added to that. I would say it wasn't really a disruptor of sorts, but it was like a little bit of a surprise, a little bit of extra information, which I find quite fascinating. Actually, the story is very fascinating to me, and it just keeps on giving. So I'm really enjoying what I'm finding in this story. Eternal Being, Trixie, Starshine, hello, hello, hello. Good to see you all. As I said, if you're here, say hello. Let us know you're here. Even if you can't contribute, if you can't talk, that's fine. If you can let us know that you're listening, that'd be great too. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. I've been working on finding all the messages within this story, and also rooting through the wreckage of the Maui fires and all the confusion that's coming out of that. So a lot of it is entertaining and very misleading and confusing. It's adding a lot of confusion. So yeah, you got to be very careful about, if you're listening to that stuff, you got to be very careful about who you're listening to and what they're saying. And your discernment, put it this way, your discernment is being honed. There's a lot of deception and a lot of deceivers. Here, give it to me, Pixie. Come on, here. So yeah, that's been interesting. Kiki, you're new. Welcome. So yeah, if you're new here, we talk about all sorts of things related to truth and ascension and mysticism, question and answer kind of discussion. You can discuss with me, with everybody in the group, and you have to be a subscriber for at least 5 minutes to do so. Please be kind to one another and respectful of one another's opinions and differences of opinion, perspective. You got to bring it here. I can't go get it. Go get it and bring it here. Go on. Go get it. Bring it here and I'll throw it. Okay? Go on. Yeah. So, yeah, just be respectful. Okay, so Ixie's done. Ixie's my cat. United Starheart, Eva Marie Eve. Welcome. So how have you all been? What have you been up to? What's going on with you? Anything new? Any synchronicities? Any messages? Anything that you're seeing that's interesting? Anything specific you wanted to discuss? The topic that I picked today was specifically about Ascension, the apocalypse, the 3 pillars, and which exit are you taking? The reason I wanted to talk about this is because as much as everybody's all caught up in the entertainment of the fires and the plane lady and whatever else is playing out in the world stage drama, I'm getting the sense that people don't understand what's going on. They don't understand the urgency of the situation. And I'm not saying that in terms of like fear. I'm saying that in terms of, get your butt in gear kind of thing. The urgency is there to put the pressure on us to clean up our side of the street, so to speak, to prepare for what's to come. And most people are so preoccupied with the external distractions that they're not seeing that this is a message to you to get a move on. This is a message to you to prepare for the end of the story, basically. And so like what I am seeing out there is a lot of confusion over how to handle this process and how to exit. And there's a lot of interpretations of which path to take and what to do, and what's right, what's wrong. And most of it is not accurate, depending on, like I say, which path you want to take. And I've said this before, so I kind of want to talk about it a little bit more, about how there's the solar pillar, lunar pillar, and middle pillar. And you take the solar pillar and come back here, take the lunar pillar and go up to the other world, or you take the middle pillar and you exit out. But most people aren't even aware that there are pillars. They just follow the, most talk about ascension is the New Age ascension talk, which is very superficial. And they don't they kind of just go with what's given to them and don't really internalize or consider for themselves, is this the right path for me? Is this the right path? But then there are some people who do that and they end up in Christianity and they end up with Jesus, which is not the right path either. That's the solar path. So you have to figure out, if it's the right path for you, then that's the right path for you. Not everybody is meant to exit out. Some people are meant to come back. Some people are meant to go to the other world, and some people are meant to rule the new kingdom. So you have to determine what you want and what's right for you. And a lot of people will say, well, I want to get out because I hate it here. But you haven't learned your lesson. If you haven't learned your lesson, you're not going to get out. So this is why I'm saying that there's some urgency here. The message that's being shown to us is to say, this is a big red warning flag of what's to come. And if you haven't done the work, this is where you're going to end up. So pick a path and commit to it and follow it no matter what. But it's okay if you want to come back. It is okay. There's nothing wrong with coming back if that's what you want. And a lot of people are like, well, I want to get out. Why do you want to get out? You want to get out because you're tired of the suffering. You have to end the suffering in order to get out. You cannot get out with all that suffering because you're the one creating it. So if you want to exit out, you have to have a change of heart. You have to change your mind. You cannot leave here with the same mind that created the crap that's in this world. So this is why if your need to escape, your need to leave is rooted in suffering and rooted in, I hate this place, that's the energy that you're taking with you. You haven't healed it. You haven't cleansed it. You haven't dealt with it and processed it. So you can't leave. And so you've got the suffering and you've got the holy path, that's not the right path either, because then you're hating on the physical, you're hating on the elites, you're hating on the external, you're blaming other people. So you haven't dealt with that either. And so you think that you're better than everybody else because you're on this holy path, or this, the new age path. You're ascending, but you're just going to go to the next world. And that's okay too, if that's what you want. But be aware of where you're going. Be aware of what you want. And like I say, you cannot leave with the same mind that created this place. So if you want to leave, you have to find the middle, merge the two pillars, destroy the two pillars, and take the middle exit, the green exit, heart. So as apotheosis says, green exit through the heart, indeed. So there's the red exit, which is like the emergency exit, or the fire exit, which allows you to go to the other world, or there's the green exit, or you bounce back here. Hello from Mexico. Don't forget to hit the like button. Natasha, thank you very much. Hello, Light. So, yeah, just wanted to touch on that because it's difficult, first of all, for a lot of people to even identify that there are three pillars. They're not even aware of the fact that there are three pillars. And they don't know what it means to be on the middle pillar. Simply going through the heart is part of it, but not all of it. You have to merge the two. You have to, in order to find the third pillar, you have to merge the two, which is getting out of the fear. And, I've talked about this quite extensively, that a lot of people they still have trouble taking it from the intellectual to the practical, to actually performing that within. And then there's this sort of misguided notion of the middle pillar ritual of that's what the middle pillar ritual is. It's not. That's something completely entirely different. You want to merge the two pillars. So you have like the good and the evil, for simplicity's sake. The two polarities have to come together. You have to see the good in the bad and the bad in the good and put them together within you. So you have to accept yourself for the whole of who you are, and you have to accept the world for the whole of what it is. So if you are, in order to recognize whether you are on one of these pillars, are you externalizing? Are you blaming the external? Are you pointing at something for the wrongs in the world? Are you looking outside of yourself to try to take somebody down or seek revenge? Or you're angry at somebody for inflicting pain on you? Are you angry? Do you hold any resentments? Are you angry at the elite? Do you blame them? Do you feel like you are imprisoned? Do you feel that you are enslaved? If you feel any of those, you're on a pillar. If there's fear in what you perceive this world to be, if you feel that there's somebody holding you here against your will, all of that is a pillar. It's a pillar that you're on. It's one of the polarities. You have to get to the place where you merge the two and you see that all is love, and that everything here is for the purpose of your awakening, and everything comes from love. Everything here is serving you for your benefit. And it's a very hard hurdle to overcome, because most people are stuck in the physical perspective of saying, well, there's me and there's the world outside of me, and that person has done something bad to me, therefore that's bad, this is good. And then they separate everything, and then they point fingers at everything, and they put the blame on the external, and they're not looking within. And then there's perpetual separation. So you want to get to a state of wholeness. You want to get to a state of understanding that nothing is separate from you, and the good is not separate from the bad. So being somebody who is following, say, I say Christianity as a religion is a prime example, because a lot of people who are Christians, not all of them, tend to think the primary doctrine is take Jesus into your heart and you will be saved. So by that standpoint, anybody who hasn't will not be saved. And so there's this generally accepted notion that if you haven't, you're not going to be saved, you're going to hell. So therefore, I'm better than you. You're evil. Get away from me. Separation. And anybody who says the opposite is the Antichrist. So again, demonizing, again, pointing at the external, and also putting the power outside of yourself and putting your faith in being saved by somebody else. You are the one who has to save yourself. So this is done by the inner alchemy of merging the two. So Christ mind and Mary Magdalene heart in union. Yes, exactly. Quirky chick, hello. So yeah, that's just a light opener. Seems like I'm preaching to the choir here. Everybody seems to know what I'm talking about, which is great. But yeah, okay, I'm done. You want to talk? you want to pick up the discussion here? Add your perspective. Apotheosis is that a good starting point? So yeah, like the getting over the fear hurdle is the hardest part, because it's very difficult. Like the spell of the physical, you get lured into the physical and thinking that the physical is all there is. Even if you think that there's a spiritual side, it's still very compelling to think that the spiritual and the physical is something that the whole we're here for our life, and then you die, and then your spirit goes on to heaven or hell or what have you, and that you don't really have any determination over that other than do good deeds and be a good person. So here, where was I going with this? The lure of the physical, like if you're still playing the part in the physical world in that perspective, and that you're going to be rewarded outside of this world. And so, what you do here doesn't really matter as long as you're a good person. But what you do here is everything. You have to exit out here before you can exit out on the other side when the story's over. So I know a lot of people kind of are a little bit frustrated by that, in the sense that they're expecting, I guess, death to save them or something. I'm not quite sure. There's something around that of like the rapture, the death, the end of the world, the apocalypse. Like this is what's going to save them. Like the aliens are going to come and beam me up, Scotty, kind of thing. So that still has this sort of external savior pattern built into it. You have to save yourself first before you can exit out. So yeah, like the physical is very distracting, and it's not evil. It's just that we have forgotten who we are, and it helps us to forget this physical world because it's all we see. You have to learn to see beyond the physical. You have to learn to see what else there is, the invisible. This is about, the going to the bottom of the boat, seeing the unseen. I'm talking about the Poseidon Adventure. If you haven't seen the Poseidon Adventure decode, go and watch it. And I recommend you see the full one on my website if you haven't seen that. But if you haven't seen any of it, then at least go see the one on my channel. But you go to the bottom of the boat, which is the subconscious, and it's the unseen. So, the preacher was trying to tell everybody, it's time to get out, let's go. And the people didn't believe him because they didn't see anything beyond what was right in front of them. They believed that they would be saved by staying where they were. The preacher was like, no, we have to leave because this is what's going to happen. And they didn't believe him because they didn't see it. And then as soon as they saw it, they panicked and they started to rush the Christmas tree. By then it was too late and everybody's trying to rush the tree. They're panicking and then they collapse the tree and then they're all dead. They're all done because they haven't done anything to prepare. And it's like the preacher can't do anything to help them. So it's too late to help them. And if he tries, they're just going to drag him down. And then he can't help anybody. So he has to leave them and go and help the ones who are already climbed the tree. So basically, you got to climb your tree. And by that, I mean, you have to ascend to the top of the spine within, raising the Christos oil, raising the Kundalini. So anyhow, I guess everybody's just listening. When we can find the balance and take perspective from between the pillars, we are in the space connected to the unseen other world. Well put, Trixie. Well put. Yeah. So when you go through okay, so I don't know where everybody is in their process. I'm guessing most people are quite far along in their process. Not to change the subject, but did you see the Burning Man got flooded out? I have not actually, no. I'm having a lot of visuals. It's hard to express through words. Well, if you'd like to share something, you can give it a try, see what happens. But yeah, like once you get on the pillar path, the middle pillar, then, it's an automatic process, which I've talked about in my Ascension videos. So everything, because you've asked to be on that pillar, you've asked. When you ask, it's given. So it's automatic process. So all of the things that you need will be provided to you and help you along your journey. Just listening to what you have to say and enjoying it. Thank you. No, I have not heard about Burning Man getting flooded out, but I vaguely recall seeing something about it before I started this live. So, sort of there. So beyond that, I don't know anything about it. But yeah, kind of ironic, I guess. I'm sure sounds like there's a message in it for sure. I mean, fire and water. Weird. So me too. So yeah, when you get to the point of so this ascension process of being on the middle pillar does help you overcome this perception of things being physical, and the fear is in the physical. The fear is in believing that in things outside of yourself causing or having control over your situation and your life circumstances. And your role is to overcome that and to be able to see what this place really is and remember who you really are and get yourself out of that perspective to a higher perspective to see and know that it's a play. And I know there isn't much that I can say other than what I've already said and shown and done in videos and everything. You have to do that work yourself. So I know a lot of people are stuck in not, they can intellectualize it, but they don't have the inner knowing. So you have to have the inner knowing so that is how you perceive the world. And you can perceive certain things as being fake, but still not get to the perspective of seeing how it's all connected and it's all a play, even in your own life, and how you are a character in the play. It's all like steps in the process. So you'll get there. If you're on that path, you'll get there. I don't see evil. I see ignorance and lack of awareness, Adam. Well put, Adam. Yeah. And there's ignorance and lack of awareness, but there's also deliberate ignorance. What's like deliberately turning a blind eye, not wanting to look at things, not wanting to see things, denial, fear. But yeah, I mean, all of that is lack. And so lack is the opposite of abundance. So all of that comes from lack, ignorance for sure, and brokenheartedness, fear, which is lack of love. Lose the fear and have the faith to create your desires. Yeah. Yeah, like that's part of the journey, is understanding, when you understand who you are and why you're here and your divine purpose, and that you are the I am. I mean, there's so many fear programs out there to deter people from, which is a filtering system. It's necessary. It's not, like you say, Adam, it's not evil. It's a filtering system. It's there to challenge you, to make sure you are ready to receive this information. If you are not, you will fall prey to the fear traps and you will fall prey to the deceptions. So if there's, say, if you're in the Christian camp, and I use Christianity because, it's the culture that I live in. I'm most familiar with it. I don't mean to, isolate them or target them specifically as some sort of, issue or anything some people might take it as, but it's just something that I understand. I don't understand other religions very much. So every religion can apply the same way. But if you are in that mindset, there's a lot of programming around that mindset to say this is the right belief and all other beliefs are wrong. And if you are of the other beliefs, like that's paganism, and paganism is evil. So you have to overcome a lot of these programming and beliefs that have been built in once you have accepted this as part of your identity. Because it isn't like when you are part of a religion, you introduce yourself as I am Christian. That's part of your identity now. And so in order for you to overcome your attachment to that, you have to separate it from your identity, which is hard. So, and there's also more fear built into that, because you've been told that once you do this, you will go to heaven, you will be saved. So what happens if you take that away? You now fear that you're going the wrong way because you're going to go to hell. That is tremendous fear programming to overcome. So it's understandable. And like I said, that applies to all religions. So where was I going to go with this? Losing the fear. Willful lack is this thing. Yeah, willful ignorance for sure. Getting to the point of seeing the so-called externals triggering me, positive or negative, is my clue that I'm seeing the play, my personal temple bell calling me to pay attention. Glenn, well said. Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that happen in the external that are there to draw your attention, and part of that is trigger if it triggers you. And sometimes messages you overlook them, like synchronicities. They're there to get your attention. If you miss it the first time, it'll come again, second time, third time, fourth time, until it sort of hits you in the head to say, hello, pay attention, there's a message here. And so it won't go away until you acknowledge it and you understand it. So for me at the moment, I've been getting synchronicities of Fleetwood Mac. I've been still getting Fleetwood Mac as a synchronicity. And I think I cracked it yesterday. I think I figured out what the message is. But that's going into my Maui Fire decode. So I won't talk about it here. But it was returning again and again and again. And, I thought I had looked at it, and no, it didn't answer it because it just kept coming and kept coming. So it required my attention. Astro Cat, hello, TrueLove and chat. Hope all are well. Welcome. Apotheosis, a mystic holds the golden thread that connects all religions. That's very beautiful. I like that. The golden thread. I like that. I like how you put it too. I can just visualize this beautiful golden delicate thread that you can't break. And it's just like a golden thread of light. Really cool. Adam, all isms are a separation of isness. Oh, that's really beautiful too. You guys are on fire today. I love it. Astro Cat, my dad was playing Fleetwood Mac just earlier. Oh, really? Along with many other oldies. That's really cool. There's another one. I mean, I was thinking about it too because I guess with the Maui fires and the connection to Fleetwood Mac, the radio stations are probably playing it a little bit more. But I heard on the radio in my car, and then I was on a walk, and I was listening to my headphones, and I could hear music coming from somebody's house as I was passing by, and it was interfering with the music I was listening to. So I took my headphones out, and I was like, oh, of course it's Fleetwood Mac. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, that's how intrusive this synchronicity was for me. It's like, hello, you have to pay attention to this. You guys got some beautiful sayings today, beautiful phrasing and insights. But yeah, there's a tremendous amount of ignorance. So part of this has come from, so last week we talked about the Maui fires, and I'm only going to touch on this a little bit. We talked about the Maui fires, and within that discussion, there was the blue things that don't burn. And I talked a little bit about Hawaii real estate guy and how he is a plant. I don't want to talk about shills and stuff anymore. I've done that. Every time I do it, it pulls me down, and if you want to know about shills and stuff, I have plenty of information on that. I've talked about it quite extensively. At this point, I can't go there anymore. But that's what he is, and there's Jeff Cygnus guy is, and there's a whole other group of people that are plants. It's a copycat of what happened in 2020. Remember, in 2020, I put out some information. I think this was like within days of the announcement of the lockdown. I put out information showing how there were agents everywhere. And you can go back to my videos at that time if you're unaware of the fact that there are agents everywhere. This is really something you need to be aware of. So this is a repeat. It's a pattern. And they're doing the same tactics and the same approach and the same thing. So at the time, I thought it was important to address it. So I had been working on a video about it. And while I was working on it, I could feel my energy draining. I could feel the negativity rising, and I didn't like how I felt. I didn't like what it was doing. And I spent 2 days on this breakdown, and I just didn't like it. So partway through, I decided not to do it. I spent 2 days on it, but everything I do is valuable. So even though I felt like I had wasted 2 days on it because I should have been focused on Tiffany Gomez and, the decode that I'm supposed to be working on, there was a reason why I got pulled into looking at this stuff. So nothing's ever wasted, even if it feels like it's a waste of time. I learned a lot from it. I learned a lot about those people and what's going on, and also how people are digesting this information. And this is what brought about this discussion today. There are so many people right now who are waking up to the deception. They're realizing there's something wrong. And this is what I was talking about Barbenheimer, about it being the Great Awakening event, because this is the end of the story. So this is what is shaking up the last of the people who are going to wake up, whether the people who are like budding, they're about to, snap out of it. The people who are fast asleep, like they're not waking up. And there are people who are not going to wake up. That's totally fine. I'm talking about the ones with the potential to rise, the ones with the potential to wake up. This is it. This is the last time that they have this, the event. And so I'm seeing a lot of those types of comments of, they're getting pulled into the narrative that's being put out there. And this goes back to like copycat to what happened in 2020. If you remember what happened then, you can just copy that and plonk it on to what's going on now with the DEWs, the narrative of the land grab, the narrative of the people being locked in and not allowed to leave, being redirected in the fire, the roads being closed, like all that, all those points, all of that story. It is a story. So why are they telling it to you is what you need to ask. Don't accept the face value of what is being presented to you and say, this is the answer. And so many people are taking it as the answer and not going past it. Always go past it. Always go beyond what's being presented to you. You won't get anywhere if you take what they give you. So, sorry, I get passionate about it because it's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you get out if that's what you want. But if you're just going to accept what's given to you and you don't think beyond that, you're still going to stay in the solar system, in the recycling system. Totally fine if that's what you want. So I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to the people who want out. I'm talking to the people who intuitively know there's more. And if you're still getting trapped in this, you're still getting led by this, and you're still being misguided, this is the message for you to snap out of it. This is a message for you to look beyond what they're showing you, beyond what they're presenting to you. Because if I keep presenting to you what's beyond that and you're not listening and you're not seeing it, I can't help you. And the answers that they're presenting to you of this narrative of the alternative is a story. So why are they telling this to you? What's in it? It's a message. What are they telling you? So don't accept it. Don't fall for it. Look at the patterns. Realize that there's something else going on here. What is that something else? Right? Where am I here? Hustle Bitch has good videos covering Hawaii on YouTube. A lot of stuff went viral. Well, if it went viral, then it's not true, because anything that goes viral is part of the system. Glenn Berto was astonished last week that my 85-year-old client, classical musician, told me that his favorite music was Fleetwood Mac, especially Rhiannon. Oh, interesting. Leaves of Grass, hello? Aristocrat, seeing Oprah and Dwayne Johnson asking for donations for Hawaii was so gross. I noticed there's Hawaii card in the Illuminati card game. Cool. Leaves of Grass, Stein wins. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, you got to pay attention. Like if the information is going viral, it's supposed to, because it's controlled by them. So keep looking past what's being presented to you. Keep asking questions that most people aren't asking. Ask why. Ask, what is this showing me? What does this mean? What's past this? What's in the middle of this? How do I read between the lines? Ask better questions. When you ask better quality questions, you get better quality answers. If you just take what's given to you, you will never get anywhere. You got to ask better questions. He's just showing TikTok clips, not really his stuff. I know 99% viral stuff is going to be on purpose because they want you to see it. Yeah, and like I say, most of that stuff is contributing to the narrative. So it is just a story. All of this stuff that's coming out about, we can't get in there. Okay, then they say, well, we can't get in. They've put up a wall. Next thing you know, they're showing you pictures of people walking around the ruins. They're showing you video footage of people walking around the ruins. How did they get in there? Either you can get in or you can't. So what's going on? So there's something else going on with this. And that's what you have to look at. Don't look at the narrative as a reality, because it isn't. It's a story they're telling you. But the reason they're telling you the story is for the purpose of your awakening. So look at that. You have to look at things from a totally different perspective. It isn't about land grab. It isn't about the elites taking over or BlackRock buying everything up. It isn't about the electricity going out. It isn't about people being corralled in there by the authorities and not having a way out. It isn't about people not getting supplies. It isn't about all of that. It's not what it's about. Pineapple. Hawaiian pizza is topped with pineapple. Yeah, they muddy the waters heavily. There's always multifaceted reasons. Yeah, exactly, for sure. Be in the world and not of it. Yeah. for sure. But like the story is fascinating, and it's fun, and it's weird, and we're here to witness it. We're here to absorb, like to be part of it. It's part of our experience. So on some levels, yes, but in terms of understanding what it's saying to you and why it's happening, that story is just a story. It's irrelevant. It's not irrelevant. It's a message. Become Neo. Yeah, I love your passion, and I'm so thankful for your perspective. Thanks, quirky chick. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's the same for you too. When you see something and you want to help others see it, you want to make sure you try to convey it in a way that is understandable so that people can see it. And I understand too that being on this side of things, where I see things and you maybe don't see, whoever I'm talking to who doesn't see, it's impossible to see it until you see it. So I am doing my best to try to articulate how to see it, because me just saying, well, can't you see there's a little yellow square here? And you're like, no, I can't see it. Okay, well, it's there. Isn't going to help you. Isn't going to help you just to say there's a yellow square here. It's like, okay, well, here's how I see it. I meditate, I close my eyes, I fixate on like whatever tactics I do to be able to see it, then that will help you see it too. Is a little bit more helpful. But me just saying that it's there and you should be able to see it because I see it doesn't help. The Hawaii card says the traditional vacation spot for the world's middle class. Hawaii gives one extra action token to the group that controls it if that group is corporate. Interesting. Do you have a copy of this game? I know there's different versions of the game, and there's I think that it's kind of hard to get your hands on it. You just searched on YouTube. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, like a lot of the comments I was reading, like people are all caught up in, like, and it's fine. They're caught up in, like what started the fires, who's at fault, who do we blame, who do we point the finger on, which is where all of this is gearing to. So the people who are corralled into this little pocket of the world, this little pocket, this community, they're buying this story and are going to get carried away with the story that is leading towards pointing the finger at the evildoers or the bad actors to say they're at fault, let's get them. What does that solve? What does that do at the end of the day? And this is a lot of, when you're in the fear trap and the conspiracy mind, it's all about let's get them. Without any thought as to how or what that means or what's the end result or what are we going to do in its place. There's no thought to any of that. It's just, well, we've identified who's behind it. Let's take them down. But you can't. because they're everywhere. They control everything, and they are you. So this is what is not understood when you're looking at things from a physical perspective. If you're looking at those people out there are the cause of all of the evil in the world, so let's cut them out and put them on an island somewhere. Well, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do when you've gotten rid of them? And have you gotten rid of them all? How do you know you've gotten rid of them all? How are you going to get rid of them all? They own everything. They control everything. They probably own the island that you want to put them on. So how? There's no thought put into that. And then the alternative to that is, oh, well, let's just create our own using their resources and their money and all of that. Everything here is part of the system. There is no extraction. So the only way out is within, because you are it. You are everything. So if you're looking at things from a merely physical point of view and trying to solve the problem by rearranging what you don't like out there, it isn't going to work. So even if you did, beautiful picture, got rid of them all. I was watching this video by London Real today. I was like, oh, let's see what they have to say. And the title said, "The Cabal is dead." I'm like, really? Where's the proof? I don't think so. So this idea that you can have any kind of effect on the people or the powers that be, the people who control everything, based off of the story that's being told about how, this is an archon creation and the evil archons are louche extractors and we're stuck in the soul lure system where they suck our energy. I mean, how are you going to get out of that? Okay, so this idea of creating a world separate from them, using their resources and their roads and their infrastructure, like their wood, their trees, like everything is owned by them. If you got rid of them, how are you going to, you're going to have to put a new infrastructure in place. And who are you going to ask to run the infrastructure? The people who took down so-called evildoers? Well, didn't you just make yourself evil by taking out the evildoers? Well, you could argue that good only retaliates, they don't attack. If you remember from my video, the School for Good and Evil, what made good evil was they attacked first because they realized that they were going to be attacked by the evil side, but the evil side restrained themselves because they knew that if good attacked them, that would turn good into evil. So they didn't attack. They made good evil because they made them attack them first, which is very cunning. So if you attack them, that makes the good evil. And so then the evil would take over. It's all perception. So you have to know how to run a world. You have to know how to run a country. And the people who are disgruntled are the ones at the bottom. They don't know how to run a world. They don't know how to run a country. They might have ideas. They don't know how to do it. And the people who are in power, they have an entire infrastructure behind them because it's all part of the whole system. Yeah, cat, my kitty cat. The guy from Leak Project Rex was showing his collection the other day. That's when I noticed that card. Okay. Yeah, that was my cat. I'm so very thankful for this channel. It's helping me navigate this journey. Thanks, Leaves of Grass. Aristocat, he should change his channel to the Real Grifter of London. Glenn, we have met the enemy and it is us. Yeah, I mean, that's like it's the most empowering and horrifying thing of the whole journey is to realize that it's you. And but it's the most empowering too, because that's when you realize that you have the power to change it. So if the enemy is outside of you, you can't do anything about it. You can't control what's outside of you. You can only control what's inside of you. So very difficult for a lot of physically minded people to grasp that concept because they do not see the connection between the mind and the physical world. They see the physical as an extension, as a something that's separate from them, that they have no connection to it. So you have to practice that in order to know it. This is what law of attraction helps you to do. Practicing law of attraction helps you to recognize the mind external world connection. And so if you're somebody who is still stuck in the physical and cannot see that connection, I encourage you to practice law of attraction. Try to manifest things into your world, into your experience, and see how they show up. See how what you think shows up in your experience. So when you do that, then you see how this world works. You can understand better how to see the unseen. I mean, some people have natural intuition, natural, I guess you could say second sight or sixth sense. They're able to see beyond the physical. So it's easy for them to understand it, but there's a lot of people who can't. There's a lot of people who they've shut themselves off from that aspect. They've shut themselves off from that concept. And they just need it awakened again. They just need a little reminding, that's all. But a lot of people have shut it off as something ridiculous, and a lot of NPCs have no concept of that. But that just because somebody is physically minded doesn't mean that they're shut off, and doesn't mean that they're NPCs. It just means they need reminding. So be mindful. Like if you're somebody who's having a hard time, doesn't mean you're an NPC, and it doesn't mean that it's not possible. You just need reminding. You need to see it and to remember it. And even you can even just go back in your experience and see how, there's probably certain things that you brushed off as coincidence, or there's certain things you brushed off with rationalization that you can start to see that it has a connection. You say, well, I was thinking about my friend and they showed up. Well, that was a strange coincidence. And so you just brushed it off and didn't think anything of it. But if you look back in it now, you can understand that the reason they showed up is because you were thinking of them. So you can look back on your own experience and see how there's connected events that'll reveal it to you. And then try it now and see how that manifests, and do it deliberately. So anybody have any synchronicities going on? Any strange experiences? Anything is there anything that you are struggling with, you want to work through or talk about, or you got questions about, or things that you keep coming up against that are bugging you, like blocks, or is there anything happening in your experience that are indicators of leveling up and you're excited to share it? Because I mean, I've shared several of my experiences in leveling up, and the reason I shared them was because I couldn't find anyone online sharing their experiences that were similar to that. And so I thought, well, if I share mine, there must be other people who have had similar experiences who can benefit from this, to know that they're not alone and not the only one having this experience, whether it's identical or similar. And so things like, my crowning experience, my 88 gate experience, that the street theater that is an external marker celebrating the leveling up within. I do feel sort of this isolation, or this loneliness that comes from having these experiences and being excited about it, and trying to think, well, how do I even begin to search for this to see if somebody else has had this experience? Like, what exactly am I searching for to find if somebody else has gone through this? And this is like, what is this? What is this experience that I just had? Is this normal? Like, how do I interpret this? Is there anybody else who's had this experience? And, so like, even from the searching level, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how to do that. So, and to be honest, I haven't come across anyone having a similar kind of experience. It doesn't mean that there hasn't been anybody. I just haven't been able to find them. And so anyway, yeah, if you're going through some kind of inner alchemy leveling up experience and you'd like to share it, it might help you feel a little less alone. Maybe other people are having the same experience. And, it's also an opportunity for you to celebrate that leveling up, or even just to understand it better, because you might have that experience. If you've had that experience, guaranteed it's a standout experience that's like, synchronicities that eventually hit you in the head and say, hey, pay attention, because you're supposed to notice it. So if you're reaching for something and trying to think, well, is this one? Then it's not. It will hit you in the head. It will be obvious. So, yeah, if you have had those sorts of experiences, it'd be nice to hear about them. Did you notice the video I posted in Discord in the sync section? Steinwinds, I'm not sure. I noticed everything, so you'd have to tell me what video you're referring to. Which video is this? Natasha, telepathy with a few of my good friends has become increasingly common. Well, that's cool. I had that happen the other day. I had not heard from a friend of mine for about a month, and I thought, at first I thought I'll text him, and I thought, well, you know what I'm going to do? He's going to text me. And so I'm just going to sit back and wait for him to text me. And he texted me that evening. And so I replied to him and said, that's funny. I was just wondering how you were doing. And he said, wow, it must be some sort of telepathy or something. I said, yes, it is. So, is it happening with anybody else? It's good to know it's happening with other people. Is there ever going to be heaven on earth? Yes. You're the one who has to bring it here. Been feeling a lot of increased inner peace lately. Not sure it has anything to do with it, but correlated to the blue moon, at least with timing, kind of came from nowhere. That's wonderful. Inner peace sounds fantastic. Not sure it has anything to do with it, but with the blue moon, I don't know. Anybody else have any experience associated with the blue moon? It was pretty spectacular looking. What day did that happen? That happened on the 30th? Or was it the 28th? What day did the blue moon happen? I remember we talked about it last week and there was a confusion over the dates, but I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what day it was. Somebody remind me. The video was Hi H Tsang talking about his personal syncs and more. Yeah, I don't think I got a chance to watch that, but I did notice it. The 30th. Okay, so Steinwins, is there something specific you wanted to address regarding that video? The 30th. Okay. So anything else happened to anybody on the 30th with the blue moon? Something happened to me, but I'm not prepared to talk about it. It's along the similar lines of that I was just talking about with like the crowning experience and the 88 gate experience. Not street theater, but an inner process. It was something that happened to me internally. Is basically a shift, if you will. That's probably the best way to explain it, is a shift. Guess it's not finished yet. It was just the introduction. Shall we say, is the introduction, and there's more to come. But there was a shift for me, and it happened on the 30th. And on the 28th, I had some things happen to me. So like the 28th, I had some things happen on the 28th that led up to what happened on the 30th. And so, yeah, like quite a lot unfolded in that short period of time. No, I just wondered if your thoughts. Okay. Well, when I do get to watch it, I'll leave a comment in the Discord. Thanks. Let's hope it's contagious. The inner peace. Full moon was touted to be negative all around, but turned out to be incredible. Surprise gift of taking the railway to the top of Pikes Peak. 14,000. Is that 14,000 or 14-kilometer view? I think it means 14,000 foot view, or what is that? So for you, on that day, you went to Pikes Peak, and it was 14,000 foot view. Cool. Where's Pikes Peak? I've never heard of it. That sounds scary to me. That sounds pretty scary high. Aristocrat comfortably numb. Colorado. Okay. Well, that sounds kind of street theater-ish. 14,000 feet is 2 sevens, and Pikes Peak is the PP, is the mountain. Colorado's red. So the mountain in the red. at the top of the peak. There's a lot of awareness too. Nobody else have anything happen on the full moon? The railway train was bright red. There you go. And you're taking the train. I don't know if it's connected to the moon or anything, but I watched something showing lots of meteors spotted around the world recently. Well, that's interesting. I did hear something about meteors or asteroids around this time, so that's interesting. Garden of the Gods near Pikes Peak. Well, this is getting interesting. Garden of the Gods in Pikes Peak in Colorado and red trains. So yeah, you want to make sure you're looking at these experiences and finding the messages in it. So anybody else have an experience on the 30th? What day was that? Wednesday. Went there too. Oh, you went to the Garden of the Gods as well, huh? You might want to write down what happened that day, Glenn. Sounds like quite a street theater experience. Get decoding. Well, this is it. Like, you I'm curious, Glenn, what led you to go there that day? What happened that led you to go there? Like, were you invited by somebody? Did you just spontaneously decide that you had to go there that day? Like, what brought you there? Because I think there is or was a visible comet in the sky, and it's blue or green. Can't remember exactly. Yeah, I heard something vague about that. I think it was green. I'm not sure. But yeah, there's something about that. Aristocat. I've had the weirdest street theater when I was in a bad state. It became clear the correlation between my inner self and the external. Well, that's wonderful. I think it's very easy to notice when you're in a negative state, when things manifest outside of you, which is why people think that they're targeted individuals, because the targeted individuals manifesting street theater thinking that they're being followed and not realizing that it's self-created. But once you do realize it, like, then you can see the mind world connection. So yeah, the external, the fear-based manifestations, generally speaking, are the ones that can really jolt you into realizing how your external is manifesting. A birthday request gift from my sweetie. This is just getting better and better. So your girlfriend gave you a gift of taking you to the top of the mountain and the Garden of the Gods on your birthday. Are we going to find the Holy Grail? I found it. There's more. You guys are awesome today. You got all sorts of gems coming up. This is awesome. I bet you anything, you guys, you have some street theater that happened on the 30th. Come on. I know. Yeah, this is not, Anywhere between the 28th and the 30th, I bet you there's street theater. So think about it. And if you want to present it, be happy to help you with it, sort of point you in the right direction. But I bet you anything, most of you had street theater happen. I bet this is what the blue things don't burn thing is all about. Went down to a fancy restaurant afterwards, noisy table of large family next to us, insisted on paying for our meal. This is interesting. Wow. Gifts. Where was this restaurant and what was it called? I heard Burning Man got heavy rain and it went very muddy. Chris Rock managed to get out with a lift from fans. Well, yeah, it was mentioned earlier about Burning Man getting flooded. What was Burning Man on the same day? Was it on the 30th? Looks like I might have to look into that story. One weird thing I got years ago on my CCTV, multiple joggers kept stopping at the exact same spot, putting their hands on their heads, looking around a few seconds and jogging off. That's awesome. The fact that you noticed that, oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. That sounds hilarious. You sure it wasn't like you were watching a tape and somebody had fed it through and it was glitching and just going back? I'm just joking, but it just sounds hilarious. The Cliff House, Manitou Springs. Anybody know what Manitou means? Anyone want to look it up on etymology or name meaning Manitou? Rock, earth, burning, fire, flooding, water. Wonder if there's air. Good job, Dathramar. That's awesome. Yes, indeed. And then there's also man. Man is burning man. So I wonder if there's air. Well, there is air. But is it part of the story? I guess is what you're asking. What's going to happen with all the alien garbage that's supposed to be coming? What do you think's coming with the alien garbage? Oh, you guys are funny. What do you think's coming with the alien garbage? Anybody look up Manitou? Anybody find a meaning for Manitou? What do you guys think is going to happen with the aliens? That was weird. Aliens. Manitou, spirit, object of religious awe or reverence, deity, supernatural being. Well, dang. This story is getting pretty juicy. Nobody has an opinion on the aliens? Come on. I know you do. I like that picture of the alien saying, "Take me to your leader," and in the next picture is Biden sniffing alien. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of really good alien jokes because of the current state of the world. When I was setting up this live chat and looking for some pictures, I saw a picture of the movie Independence Day and how like the visuals of that is really quite interesting. You know, the massive round spaceship that's hovering above New York City. So New York City is down below and the spaceship is above, and it's joined in the middle with a light beam. Very interesting. So nobody has any opinions on the aliens? Well, there's a lot of talk at the moment about Project Bluebeam. Anybody have any thoughts on Project Bluebeam? Aliens are already here. Phil Schneider knew. I don't know who Phil Schneider is. But what do you mean by aliens? What are the aliens? He worked in the DUMS in the 90s. I don't know what DUMS is. What's DUMS? Word of truth. The aliens are the angels of God. Very interesting. Welcome. I don't know if you've commented before, but thanks for commenting. Welcome. Is Trump going to save us all, or should we wait for Jesus? Well, I think Trump's going to get out of jail. I don't think he's even in jail. He was arrested, right? So he's going to get out of jail free. He's got the Trump card. He's going to get out of jail free. And then he's going to win the election and he's going to save the whole world. He's going to say, "You're welcome. You're all saved. I'm the new Messiah. Worship at my feet." Deep underground military bases. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know so much about that stuff being legit, but I don't know enough to comment. Robin Scott, I think they're underground. There is no space. Well, there is no space as we've been told, but there's the inner vortex and there's the world above. So there's that. But yes, there is no space as we've been told. They could be underground. They could be walking among us. And they could be, as you say, angels. They could be you. They could be you and me. They could be a wide variety of things. You just had a comment censored. That's weird. I don't even know. Hang on. Okay. I put it on all chat so it can see the comment now. We will emerge as the new aliens, as we will display none of the symptoms that the masses will all suffer from. I agree with that, yeah. Thanks for letting me know that you had that comment censored, because it's a good comment. YouTube always nuking my comments. I know, it's annoying. Eternal being, I'm interested to see how the alien stories play out. Isn't what we've all been waiting for? Yeah, it'd be interesting to see it as how the movie plays it out. I don't think it'll be the way that we're led to think it will be played out. I am an alien to this mess. Yeah, it just means strange or foreign. I was asking AI Trump what obstacles would be on a Biden-themed assault course. Got a funny answer, but he left out sandbags, stairs, and a cycling section. Okay, I don't quite get it. Robin Scott, my uncle has a story of aliens. When he was a kid, he saw a saucer. It hovered for quite a while, then went straight up. After that, some military planes flew by. This was in Cranbrook, BC. Well, that's interesting. I did see some strange lights once. Don't know what it was, can't say what it was, but they were lights. I was driving home on the 401 in Toronto, and I think it was early evening, so the sun was still up, and I was traveling east, and they were on the sort of northeast side of the highway, and I think it was around close to Pickering, and there was a collection of lights, about 5 or so, no more than 10. And so, yeah, closer to 5. And so they were collected in a pattern, and then they just sort of moved a bit and then just disappeared. It was very weird. I looked online to see if other people had seen them, and I think other people had seen them, but then I just put it out of my mind, like, what am I going to do about it? Eternal being, been watching some Jeff Snyder. He seems to think they are horned beings. I wouldn't put much stock into what he says about anything other than plasma fires. I noticed he's got a lot of garbage on his channel. Some of the stuff he was talking about, like Planet Nibiru, was just a lens flare. And he also shares crap from a lot of shills, like A Plain Truth. So, yeah, the only thing that I looked at on his channel was the plasma fire stuff. All the other stuff is just bizarre nonsense. Robin Scott, he remembers the feeling of his dad squeezing his shoulder. Interesting. Tammy Meadows, hello. I'm late, but I'm here. Well, welcome, Tammy. Glad to see you here. Apotheosis, are the are the aliens our future selves? That's a good question. Aristocat, or they're your past selves. Same thing. Past is present, past is future, future is past. We are moving forward and backwards at the same time. Terrestrial means land, so extraterrestrial could imply from extra lands. Outer space could just mean out of our confined space that we know as Earth. I like your thinking. Me either. I was just saying. Bizarre nonsense indeed. Yeah, I know. I find it really frustrating, you know. I mean, some people just have one piece of the puzzle and that's it. So, you know, whatever. It is what it is. I heard the aliens are the Germans from Operation Highjump. Where did you hear that? That's really funny. Adam, we are the aliens. I agree. Oh my God. So the aliens are the Nazis from the Operation Highjump. Oh, this is fun. Oh God. I agree. We are the aliens. Here's the thing. Who is most commonly associated with reptilians? When you think reptilians, what do you usually connect it with? And I don't mean the elite. What do you normally connect reptilians with? So we can Nazi salute the alien. You guys are funny. I hear all sorts about what aliens might be. Yeah. Well, that's the whole point. They're 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 creating confusion on purpose because they don't know. Like, most people don't know, and then the ones who do know are putting out half truths so that it's a clue and a red herring. So they give you, indicators, and then you have to figure out the rest yourself. So yeah, like, and then the ordinary people, they have no idea. Reptilians, royalty, yes, on one level. What else do you associate reptilians with? The government. In some ways, yes. Well, yes, lizards and reptilians are the same thing, but what along the same lines of royalty, and like, what do you associate reptilians with? What did, like, even in conspiracy circles, what do they tie reptilians to? Trixie, so I saw Diplo double woke up the people of Burning Man from the sky in a hot air balloon with music. Well, there's your air. Then they had the rain, and Chris Rock was saved by fans. This is such a symbolic storyline. Yeah, so you got your four elements. You got the burning, the air, hot air balloon, rain, water, flood, and Chris Rock, earth. Trixie, sorry, behind in live, but catching up. That's okay. Evil. No. I mean, like, beings. What beings do you associate them with? But yes, they usually are associated with evil. Shapeshifters and evil. I associate them to be from the water. Yes, like, what beings are they associated with? Abduction, astral realms. More evolved creature. Yeah. Yeah. They look like Komodo dragons. Yeah, like the way they depict them, for sure. All the imagery. Yeah. No, it's not a trick question. Just like, There's not a trick question. They're good reptilians. There are, well, I'm just right now just talking about how they're portrayed. What are they associated with? Like, what beings are they usually associated with? I know that generally speaking, we're told the reptilians are evil, right? So, I mean, that's the narrative we're given. As a 70s kid who watched Land of the Lost, I always pictured them as sleaze stacks. I haven't seen Land of the Lost. I don't know. What's a sleaze stack? Inner Earth. Yeah, that's another one. Demons. Yeah, they are associated with that. Yeah. I know, just curious. The only thing I could think of was the elites. Yeah, they are associated with the elites. So, like aliens. Yeah, they're associated with aliens. So you got elites, royalty, aliens, demons, snake with feet on the ground. Yep. Watch The Land of the Lost. I'm getting old. The one on Russian YouTube channel, Alatra TV, shows the clearest slit eyes. They asked her multiple times. It's in HD. Yeah, I wouldn't believe that. Like all of like the video showing people with the slit eyes and stuff's all fake. Hive mind, archons, that's true too. Yeah, archons, they associate with all of that. Like they're interdimensional beings. It was a reptilian looking being on the show who lived underground. The Dracos, yeah, they're associated with that too. So like, there's all these associations with reptilians. The reptilian part of our brain, yep, they're associated with that too. So look at all of these associations. There's so many. And it's really common. They say Mark Zuckerberg is so dorks. I think Zuckerberg's a bot, but he could be. Yeah, they do say that. He is one. I think he's a robot. Cold-blooded. So they're also associated with the Anunnaki, right? The Anunnaki, they're associated with the archons and the reptilians, and Anunnaki means from heaven to earth came. It also means the shining ones. And all throughout all my decodes, it's all about becoming a shining one. And the Anunnaki gods, as I've talked about them, are us. And they're the ones who created the humans. And so they're the ones that created the story in the first place. So you have the from heaven to earth came, the ones who came here from the world above, the other world. So this constant recycling soul recycling system. And this world was created by the Anunnaki, and the people created by the Anunnaki. It's all us. And so now we're returning to becoming a shining one, right? When let your eye be single, your whole body will fill with light. So you become a shining one. It's returning to becoming an Anunnaki. God in his own image. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I think Zuckerberg's an AI. He's a robot. Robots make good CEOs. They do indeed. Well, not good, but unscrupulously evil. Mostly just robotic. Yeah. Now I know why I like stuff like that. Elon looks like Elon. I think Elon is one of them too. I think he's AI. Have you looked into the homunculus on Mind Unveiled? I don't know what that is. Very interesting. It's 10 hours long, but his stuff is interesting. I have not heard of that channel or what a homunculus is. We are the Illuminati. Yes, we are. The awakened ones are. How that happened? We have to become like the Anunnaki, the gods Elohim. Yes. Is that why I'm happy unless I'm in the sun? Maybe. I love the sun. David Icke is a lesser great creature. I don't believe in seasonal depression. Some people don't have it. Some people do. I definitely need the sun. Mind Unveiled channel. Because I like the rain. Yeah, some people like it. Some people don't. Maybe some people are tied to certain elements more than others. So, you like the rain. We like the sun. Other people might need grounding, so they need the earth. They like to be in, gardening and get their fingers in the dirt. So, yeah, maybe there's something to that. Some people like fresh air. They need to have air, and so maybe there's all the different elements. Homunculus are beings that were being created in centuries past using alchemical means. They had ways of making all sorts of distorted humans. A ton of old alchemical texts to back it up. No offense by that. Anyway, I just wish it would rain all the time so I can wear my hoodie. You're funny. I don't know anything about it. I can't comment on it. Just come back from southern Spain and I'm back in the UK and I hate it. Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said for the weather. Like I was saying last week, I was having a hard time because I really love the summer. There's like Canadian summers are fantastic. They're hot. I love the heat. I love sitting in the sun. And when I don't get the sun, I feel a little bit down and I need the sun. So, fortunately, when I lived in England for a couple of years, it was quite sunny that time. But, in Finland, for example, it is so far north that there's 6 months of the year, there's hardly any sun. So there's a lot of depression in the northern countries because of it, a lot of alcoholism, because they use that to cope. So the sun helps me feel like myself. I was literally a lizard all week. I just basked. Been sunny here in England today. At least they did spray heavy after some hours, though. Yeah. No lack of sun in Phoenix. Yeah, it's hot in Phoenix. I always thought I wanted to live in California because they have so much sun and I love the weather there. But I'm meant to live here for now. And you're a ginger. Yeah, usually redheads don't like to be in the sun because it's that usually they burn. I know some redheads occasionally do tan. So that's interesting. But yeah, a lot of them tend to stay out of the sun because they burn. Their skin is very pale and sensitive to the sun. I'm in northern North Carolina. Is that North Carolina? 2.5 hours from Cherokee. I grew up in San Diego. The weather was always amazing. So true about the sun. Get as much as you can. Very important. Yeah, I think the sun is good for you. I need the vitamin D rather, or vitamin D. You go brown, my hair turns golden. See, that's cool. Yeah, I think some people need the sun and some people don't like the sun. Some people are kind of vampirish. They sort of hide out and stay inside and don't like the sun. I'm leaving this place. It's like Mordor. I liked England. There's a lot of things I love about England and a lot of things I miss about it. And there's a lot of things about the way of life that I didn't like. Um, I liked too that the weather was a little milder than Canada. I mean, Canada's weather can be quite extreme. We can get minus 40 and a lot of snow to plus 40 and a lot of heat. So it goes quite extreme, whereas England is very temperate in the middle, kind of, you know, in a more narrow range. But I do find I don't like cold and I don't like winter. And I do find that even though England's weather is a little bit more temperate, there's a lot of dampness in the air that cuts right through everything, which is different from Canadian dry winters. So you can protect yourself against the cold a little bit better here than you can there. Plus, you know, there's not much need for all of the parkas and everything that we wear here. So it's kind of a different kind of attire to protect you. Anyway, I'm leaving either astrally or physically. I used to be a vampire till 2020. Sometimes the sun's heat feels different, like prickly burning heat rather than a warm glow. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it's like sitting next to an electrical fire, and then other times it's like sitting next to a real fire. It's the difference between the two. Sometimes it's a little too intense. And then you sit in the shade and it's cool. It's really strange. The sun should always be shining inside. Aw, how pretty. That's really nice. Let's be fair, England is shit. Sorry, holiday blues getting the better of me. Stop projecting your crap, Adam. I like England for a lot of reasons. It has a lot of wonderful traits. But yes, the weather is not the best. Um, I like the heat. I like the sun. So, yeah, it lacks that. I live here, and yes, at least I know there are better areas for sure. I love sitting in the sun. When I woke up, everything changed, especially me. Good. Yeah, like one thing that's also frustrating about England is the lack of really nice beaches. I think there's a few areas that have nice sandy beaches, but for the most part, they're like rocky beaches. Which is why most people go to Spain. Spain, beautiful. Um, it's fragrant. It's got nice air quality, and it's also, I mean, it's hot without being uncomfortably hot. Liverpool has a beach. Yeah, but it's Liverpool. Liverpool. I went there. I thought it was just awful. Um, Sorry if you're from Liverpool. I mean, there's nice things about it. There's a little pocket there by the wharf and everything, but um, I just thought Liverpool was really, really dark and kind of miserable. I'm in Sunderland area. It's dull AF. Oh dear. It's not just the weather. It was my first trip out of the country for 17 years, and it's really woken me up to the collective consciousness of countries, which the weather plays a part. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. There's a reason it's dull and damp. Yeah, exactly. Good point. For sure. That's a long time to not travel. But I'm glad you got a chance to take a break and travel somewhere and that you had a good time. I would move for sure if I could, but my family is here. Aristocat. Yeah, I know how you feel. I mean, look, I quite like where I live. It's comfortable. The weather is nice. I don't like the winters so much, but they're tolerable. I don't have any, climate disasters here. And we're close to the United States. We're close to a lake. Everything I need is here. Everything's convenient. My family is here. Really the only thing that matters to me is truth and my family. Like, nothing else matters. So for me, I'm quite content. I'm quite content where I live. And thinking about, like, I've traveled quite a lot. So the idea of trying to find somewhere else to live because I want somewhere warmer. When you live somewhere warmer, you got to contend too with bugs. I don't like bugs. So, and you also have to get used to a new culture and a new community. And, I've moved quite a few times, kind of done with it. I kind of just want to stay put for a little while. And, if I was to move again, I would probably move somewhere local. Unless my family decided to pick up and leave and go somewhere else, I'd probably go with them. But, it depends on where it is. If I hate the idea of where they're going to go, then I might not go. But yeah, like I don't see any need to move. I don't see, to me, like I have everything that I need here. I have everything that I need here in close proximity. And generally speaking, it's because of that is kind of a paradise. It's not tropical paradise, but I have a beach, I have a lake, I have a nice, beautiful park. I have a nice place to live. I have good places to go for a walk. It's safe. It's clean. All the stores are nearby that I need. I have a car. I have good neighbors. I have my family. There's not much more I could want. So I'm pretty content. But, if where you're at is making you miserable, maybe some time for some thinking on that. I see nobody knows is in the chat. Hello, welcome. The Spanish culture was so easygoing and bright, reflected in the weather. Yeah, I have to agree. I love Spain and Spanish culture, Spanish food, Spanish cheese, Spanish wine, Spanish people, the Spanish architecture, the cities, the way that they, the way of life, like everything about it was just really, really nice. They don't speak any English, though. I find they don't want to speak English, but that was okay. I don't mind. Spanish language is beautiful. Countryside is beautiful. Flowers. I just love the smell of the place. It just smells like flowers. I would definitely consider moving to Spain if I was going to live somewhere else. France is another place that I like, but I find, like, from what I hear, like, the bureaucracy is unbearable. If you're enjoying this chat, let's do a thumbs up. Let's try to get to 35 thumbs up. That'd be great. Let's play the YouTube game, shall we? Tammy, I love where I live. That's awesome. Nat, yeah, I think that too, but I went to live in London, and wow, Liverpool is way better manners. Yeah, I lived in London for a while. There's a lot of people there, and because of a lot of the crowds and a lot of people tend to get pushy and rude. Aristocrat, it's all about the inner world primarily. That's why poor people in all sorts of locations can still be happy in themselves and a bright spirit. Totally. Yeah. My inner world is Southern Italian. Me too, true love, truth, and family for sure. I've lived and been all over eternal being. Yeah. That's one of the things that I noticed was because I traveled a lot. I was, I guess, in some ways looking outside of myself to find my internal self. And, it's helpful in a lot of ways, because if you physically remove yourself from the environment of where everybody claims to know you and puts, imposes their idea of who they think you are onto you, it kind of restricts your growth and doesn't allow you to figure out who you are outside of that. So leaving for a while allows you to explore yourself and your boundaries and rediscover who you are. So in that sense, it's beneficial. But also going to other cultures and other countries and sampling like different ways of life and different, ways of thinking and cultures and architecture and, all of it is beneficial in introducing those things into your own life and figuring out how you want to live and what you want from life. And, all of that is helpful. But if you're trying to get away from yourself here and find it elsewhere, generally speaking, there's nothing wrong with, the process. But generally speaking, you end up coming back home because what you're seeking is already within you. So it's just a matter of finding it within you, and then you can be comfortable almost anywhere. Almost anywhere. There are places that are kind of intolerable. Steinwins, I wish I had the skills to live in a jungle or forest off-grid. There's no need to live off-grid. I know what you mean, but there's no need to live off-grid, because basically you're just going to introduce yourself to a whole lot of suffering and uncomfortableness. But idealistically, the thought of like living on some island, living off the land and living on a deserted island somewhere, ideally sounds nice. You don't have to contend with, society and all their nonsense. But I'm sure you'd soon get tired of it. Any Gnostics in the house? I don't really label myself as anything, but I guess you could say it's pretty close to Gnosticism. But Gnostics tend to think that the physical is evil and that the demiurge is evil, and that this is a trap we have to escape, which is fear-based. But the whole Gnostic structure or the story is very much around what I talk about. So yes and no. Eating while listening. I'm glad you can multitask, Tammy. Eternal beings, stone winds. I lived in Hana, Maui, in the jungle off grid. It was really hard. A fun, beautiful experience, but hard. And I got bit by a centipede twice. Yikes. It was good to see you laugh. Steinwinds, good, cool, apart from the being bit part. I've got a joke for you, but it's London centric. Well, shoot, what is it? I agree with a lot of their points and listen to a lot of Glorian Publishing podcasts. I've been given the full project Blue Beam experience 3 times. What does that mean, love and hope? Aristocrat, you're on it, mate. Okay. It's time for some herbal tea. That sounds nice. What do you mean by you were given the Blue Beam experience 3 times? And what's your joke, Adam? Yeah, like, it's tempting to want to live off grid, but you don't have to. And I think that's essentially, a lot of people talk about that. It's kind of a trap because it's a physical solution for what has to be done internally. You think that you can escape the system or the matrix by living off grid. And I know this is not what you're talking about, but, or I'm assuming it's not what you're talking about. But I'm just elaborating for the sake of other people who might be listening, who would find it beneficial. But yeah, like the idea of living off grid is a physical attempt to solve something that has to be resolved within. Excuse me. Did you hear about the dog that learned to play the trumpet on the London Underground? He went from barking to tooting in an hour. That's adorable. See you, Tammy. Thanks for joining. I'll grab my coat. Yeah, that's funny. Huh. So, so we talked about the blue moon and having some experiences around that. Excuse me. I do find it odd. I haven't had a chance to look at it properly, but I do find it odd that there's a lot of blue stuff coming out all at the same time around the blue moon. So there's the blue moon, and then there was like blue things don't burn, and there was something else that was blue. I know Victoria Cotton put out something about blue stuff, and so has anybody looked into the blue thing? Anybody like esoterically looked into it? Like, what does it symbolize? Because I haven't had a chance to look at it. But like, I think the blue symbolizes the other world. The whole wedding and plane thing was over the blue moon. Oh, you mean your experience? The Blue Beetle film. Yeah, that was another one. Ryan, thank you. I see blue during sleep paralysis. Really interesting. Yeah, the blue beetle, and beetle was another synchronicity, or synchronicity that popped up in the Discord. People were seeing beetles, and I had that experience where I saw people eating bugs on television. And then while I was watching Once Upon a Time, the episode I was watching was all based around this golden scarab beetle. So, like, the scarab beetle is supposed to represent Jesus Christ, according to Santo. So I'm not really sure, because like it's 4 perfect quadrants, which could represent 4 quadrants of the brain. I'm not really sure what it represents. But yeah, like the movie The Blue Beetle just came out, which is creepy, weird looking movie. The idea of living off grid seems so nice, but then I realize I'm built totally different and shouldn't feel so foreign. I know. We're not meant to live that way, I don't think. Like, you can, but when you've been cultured, it's very difficult to live without all of those comforts. And a lot of people will do the van life thing, which is okay for a while, but you're kind of putting yourself in a dangerous spot, really, because you're at the mercy of gas and weather. And if gas prices soar through the roof, you can't go anywhere if you don't have any money to pay for gas. So you also have to find a place to park in order to sleep. And the powers that be can control and regulate where you're allowed to park. So yeah, and it's not really technically off grid either. You're still using there. Like I said, there is no off grid. You live in the middle of the jungle. You're gonna have to start eating bugs and snakes and stuff. I think it has to do with truth, also the muddying of the waters at the moment. Yeah, that could be it. Nobody knows, but truth is also representative of the higher world, the blue world. Truth is, so like throat chakra, Mercury is also blue. Blue is 666 when you convert nanometers to hertz. Well, it's a range. Like there's a range of blue. The frequency of blue is a range. Because like to say that it's specifically 666, you have to pick a specific shade of blue. It's like, well, because blue is the whole spectrum of it's half the color spectrum. And then you get into like mauves and purples, and then you get closer to the center where it's green, gets into green, and then it gets into yellow, and then you're in the red spectrum. So like, where do you make the cutoff? So it's a broader range than just 666. But I understand where you're coming from. I was getting into the Beatles big time this last couple of weeks. Yeah, so like Beatles and Fleetwood Mac music, both big at the moment. I can't just go from running water at the tap or electricity like I went to do this, but then realized I ain't having a clue. Talking about off-grid, yeah. Well, it's tricky. Like how do you live without running water and electricity and all of that stuff, which is why most people live in a van or in a car or something, or they have a tiny house or, you know, whatever. Like it's not easy to live up without all of that stuff. We're also not conditioned to survive without all our creature comforts. And we know one fundamental thing is clothing. You need clothing, clothing and shelter and food. And clothing has to be made by somebody, and shelter, you have to make that as well, but you have to have the tools to make it. Blue is one end of polarity, the blue and the red for sure, yeah. Sun Tzu, hello. Human beings need each other. Yeah, absolutely. Nobody knows. Or it could be symbolic for destruction of the blue world. Could be. Could be. Aristocrat, I see that that's what the YouTube flat earther did. Pineal Foundation went off grid, lives with his tribe. Yeah. That's partly why he's a shill, because he's pushing the whole narrative of living off grid. It's all in the camp of like the lose the legal name nonsense, and, you know, living off grid, and, you know, none of that's gonna help you. It was a blue moon, but it looked red. It looked red to you? Here it looked white. It was really sharp and really vivid, really bright white. So I don't know why they call it blue, but anyway. Mid-range for it is around 666. Okay. Like 2, etc. I haven't done the math, just seen a TikTok just now. Yeah. I know there's talk around that, with to do with the blue things don't burn stuff, and so yeah. I feel too far removed from food, nature, and decisions that are out of my control. Lots of comfort comes with a price we don't see or ignore. Yeah, I agree. I know what you're talking about. The way we live right now is very removed from nature, and it does come with a price for sure. And I think this kind of ties into this movement that's happening with like slow living or minimalism, or, you know, that sort of thing, which on the surface seems a bit superficial, like trendy almost, which bothers me because it seems as well that a lot of people might take it to mean that they need to throw away a lot of stuff, which is waste. And instead, the focus should be on making the most of what you already have, rather than talking about decluttering and purging and, you know, all of that stuff. Like, sure, if you can repurpose it or give it away and donate it, and make sure that it's not going into landfill and being thrown out. But a lot of it seems to be geared towards, oh, just declutter and get rid of all of your crap. And I mean, I've seen videos of people talking about minimalist living and they got rid of everything. Like, okay, well, what do you mean by got rid of? And they had a very cluttered house, and now they have a very minimalist house. Like, they got rid of all their furniture, all their personal belongings. Like, they have nearly nothing. Where did all that stuff go? Chances are a lot of it went in the garbage. So, I mean, yes, there's something to be said for, you know, harboring a lot of junk that you don't use and don't look at and don't need. And it does free you up when you let go of things. But if it's all just going in landfill, you know, be mindful of where it's going, and don't just throw stuff out and then go and replace it with new stuff, which a lot of people do as well. I feel too, oh, I read that. yeah, like TikTok, like you say, trash app. There's so much junk on TikTok. I mean, we think YouTube is pretty sophisticated content. TikTok is like the trash of the trash. I think it's worse than Twitter. You don't need clothing in Spain. Okay. It was a deep red in Spain and last night in the UK. Okay, cool. It must have gone from blue to red. Nice. Did you take any pictures? They call it a blue moon because it comes around every blue moon. That's funny. I am a fairy tale maximalist because I'm an artist and I love fairy tales. My room looks like a fairy tale, threw up on it. I make trash to treasure. Oh, that sounds magical. Yeah. I mean, I don't like the minimalist stuff, but I'm also not a maximalist. I buy things that have form and function, and I hold on to things. I do let go of things that don't serve me, and I have let go of things in the past a little too easily, which I now regret. But at the same time, it could just be the way I'm thinking about it could be distorted. I could be thinking that I should have held on to something, but really it wouldn't have served me because it was worn out and I didn't remember it, or it won't fit me, doesn't look right anymore. Most of it's clothing. And I did spend a lot of money in the 80s on stuff that was just stupid, like music and movies, lots of books. But for the most part, I buy things and I hold on to them and look after them. Like my stereo I bought when I went to university. I still have it. It's a good stereo. I hold on to things as long as I possibly can and fix them if they break. I'm not in the, oh, that's no good anymore because it's outdated. Let's go buy a new one. I hold on to my cell phones for 6 years and I only get rid of them because I can't update anything anymore because the stupid software is taking up too much space. But, I like nice things, but I try not to get attached to it. Try not. But I think it's fine to be surrounded by nice things to make you feel good. I mean, your surroundings are a reflection of how you feel, so it should make you feel good. It works both ways, right? Like you're talking about, if you don't like where you live anymore, maybe it's time for a change, because if your surroundings, if you don't like it, it's telling you that you aren't aligned with your surroundings anymore. So maybe you need to be somewhere where you are aligned with your surroundings. So your inner has changed and the outer no longer reflects the inner. So you need to find somewhere that matches. I always find sinks and meaningful things in charity shops. Oh, for sure. I love charity shops. Like, we don't have a whole lot of charity shops. We have like what we call thrift stores, which are kind of the same thing, but they're a little on the less quaint side. I would like it if there was more sort of charity shops or antique shops, or those sorts of little boutique-y type places. But for the most part, we have these big box stores like Value Village. We used to have Goodwill, but they had a controversy and ended up shutting down here. So it's essentially Value Village and another place called TrueLove that has secondhand clothing for the most part. But there's a few antique shops, not many. But what I like about it is that you can find some unique stuff there that speaks to you. And same with like online, like Kijiji or whatever. You can find some interesting stuff on there. Most of my things came from thrift stores. I rarely buy anything new. Most of my belongings are secondhand. Same here. I think I furnished my entire apartment aside from my bed for under $1,000, including my sofa. I had a few items already, but I think that's pretty decent. Maybe it's including my bed. No, I added it up once. I think it's about under $1,000, all secondhand stuff. And I got a lot of stuff for free. And a lot of people like, I mean, when I was younger, I poo-pooed the idea of secondhand stuff. I was a bit of a snob. But that was in the 80s when we had money and everything was flowing and everything was like abundant. And, that was like sort of the mentality in the 80s. Everything was cheap then too. It was super cheap. Nowadays, things are really pricey. I've seen a story earlier. A woman paid $3 for this painting, and it turns out it's worth like 250,000. Wow. Well, that's cool. There was a story of a guy recently who paid $50 for a chair, and he ended up selling it for $80,000 at an auction. So, and he knew when he bought it that it was worth that much. The woman he bought it from knew that it was worth quite a lot of money. She said she just wanted to get rid of it. So there was no like guilt or anything in buying it from her for so little. TrueLove, can I ask a probably stupid question? Are we going to have World War III? That's not a stupid question. We're already in World War III. But if I think what you're asking is there going to be physical fighting? Maybe, potentially. Some people have said there will be. And, but if you are awake to it, you won't be affected by it. It's just part of the story. So if there are physical fights, just steer clear of it because it's nothing to do with you. So, don't worry about it. My God, they all went extinct. We had secondhand shops, but they are owned by registered charities. I love secondhand shops. Yeah. Like this is the problem. This is what bothers me. Like Value Village gets everything donated for free, and they charge a lot of money. Like their prices are too high for secondhand stuff. And they get it all for free, and they are they're a business. They call themselves a charity, but they don't really give a lot to charity. So I find it frustrating that people are donating their stuff and they get it all for free. It's like I would rather buy it directly from somebody selling it online. That way I know that money is going directly to that person. So it's benefiting somebody personally. I'd rather do it that way. Even if it means paying a little bit more, I'd rather go about that route than going to a charity shop and paying them. I mean, the prices aren't that much different. It's not like the charity shop is 10 cents and somebody selling online for $10. It's usually like a difference of $2 or something. They'll sell it for $8 and the other person's selling it for 10. But yeah, we will be guided and protected. Yes, exactly. Like if you are living in a certain place, you've been guided there to be there at this stage in your life right now. So if you're feeling drawn to be somewhere else, there's probably reason for it. I know quite a few people who moved recently because they felt drawn to move, and they're supposed to be in a different place. So All I can say is I wouldn't go looking for it. If just go off of what you feel compelled to do. Like if you feel drawn to something as opposed to, a negative reaction or running away from something, or, if you're searching for something and you're trying to figure something out and you think moving is the solution, it probably isn't. Have they changed now who can see certain messages? I can't see. Nat's stupid question. Oh, try at the top where it says top comments or live chat. So the top of the chat, you can do top chat or live chat. So if you go to live chat, you should be able to see all of it. Eternal being, I couldn't see either. I do crave new adventure. I'm moving in 2 weeks. So excited about it. Hey, Susie Logan, you're new. Welcome. Congratulations. That's exciting. Yeah, like charity shops, then that's how you should feel about it. I know, like sometimes there's two ways of looking at it. Sometimes you can be booted out of somewhere. It's like the universe is saying, you got to move. And we know you didn't think that you should move, but you got to move for whatever reason. And I've been through experiences like that where the universe was like, okay, time to go. And just pushed me along and forced me out and moved me here, there, and everywhere. And I was bounced around for quite some time. I'm like, what the heck is going on? But I needed to have these experiences, and I can see that looking back. But then afterwards, I was like, okay, enough. I don't want to move anymore. Just let me sit here for a while. And maybe that was part of it. Maybe I needed to be bounced around so that I would be content with staying where I am right now, because the universe knew that after that COVID would hit, and I felt strongly I didn't want to go anywhere for a while. So I would have to feel content with being here because COVID has forced me to be here and I can't go anywhere else. So whenever I get frustrated with this feeling of, I'm so tired of being stuck in one place, I think back to being bounced around and I feel grateful for being here. So that's part of it. And when you think about it in that context, it's like, wow, the universe is so magical. It knows everything. It's like, knew that I would need to feel grateful for being here. So bounced me around so that I would feel uncomfortable with bouncing around, so that I would be like, no, I'm not going anywhere. Stop it. Yeah, like charity shops was my genuine people back when I was a kid. Yeah, they're fun. And I also like, these eclectic shops that back when I was younger, there was the store still exists. It's called Fairweather. But when I was younger, in the 80s, it was very eclectic and it had some really great stuff. It was more like a Winners is now, or was when Winners first came out. Winners sucks now. But Fairweather used to be great. It had like name brand logos, quality products, quality clothes, eclectic stuff you couldn't find anywhere else. And now it's just cheap crap. And it's really depressing because I really liked the original Fairweather. But, you can't hold on to stuff that's not there anymore. I got my first Fleetwood Mac album from the Salvation Army. Rumors, I was 7 or 8 at the time. Well, that's a good idea, actually, because I've been thinking about getting the Fleetwood Mac stuff. But I thought, well, what's the point? I can get it all online. Nobody knows. Yeah, I was forced out from my place, and I'd been conveniently okay with staying there, yet not entirely happy. Yeah, see, and it can be frustrating when you feel like you're being pushed around, but sometimes it's like a nudge to something better and something you didn't even know you wanted, but there's some kind of experience that you've got to have. So, or there's a reason you got to be somewhere else. So sometimes you can be pushed out. And other times you feel a pull, you feel a luring to somewhere else. It's like somewhere else calling to you to say, hey, come here, come over here. Like maybe a friend will be living somewhere and they'll say, oh my God, I just moved here. You got to come, you got to come. And even if it's just, you got to come visit. So you go visit and you're like, oh my God, this place is fantastic. I got to live here. And so you pick up and move. You never know. Are all these fires connected to the eternal flame within us? That's a really good question, an interesting way to look at it. How can you elaborate on that? Nat, yes, being homeless taught me to appreciate peace. Yeah, that's rough. But yeah, like the contrast helps you to appreciate perhaps something that you were overlooking or taking for granted or you needed to appreciate. Or it was preparing you for something, like me being bounced around was preparing me for being here and having to stay put for several years. Because for years before that, I was content with moving and traveling and wanting to go to different places. And that's when you're in that mode of wanting to explore and travel and this sort of adventurous mode, it's hard to squash that. Something serious has to come along to squash it. And something serious did come along to squash it. So I don't want to go anywhere for a while. And here I am. So, yeah, like I think it was within less than a year after, it was about, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so, 6 or 7 months, COVID hit. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Just enough time for me to get settled. And then COVID hit and I'm sat here. It's very strange. Susie, mine is a big pull to go somewhere else and my friend suggested it. Cool. So yeah, that'll be exciting for you. New adventure, new place to be, discovering new things, and your friend's already there, so that's great. Or maybe I misinterpreted. Maybe they're not already there. Maybe they just suggested that you go there. So it's 4:30. Got another just under half an hour. So if you want to start thinking of like final comments or ideas or discussion points, anything you wanted to bring up or raise or discuss. So yeah, you were talking about the war. I mean, we're in a war already. We're in a communications war, a media war, and people don't realize we're in a war. We've been in a war, I would say, since 2020. Some say earlier, but I think really the war started in 2020, and it's an information war, and it's a battle for the mind. It's a battle for the heart and the mind, basically, but it's intended to wake people up. But in terms of, is there going to be a physical revolt? That's possible. I'd be kind of surprised if there wasn't, simply because of what's going on, what's rising in the narrative, like people, what they're saying, people getting angry, the confusion, the strangeness, unsettled energy, people projecting their anger onto, the government and that sort of thing. And, the whole point is supposed to be to overturn the existing system. Like, the system has to come down. So, people often ask what's going to happen in the end. What does the end look like? What is the is there like a rapture or that sort of thing? And I do not know how it ends in that sense. And to me, from my perspective, it's irrelevant how it ends. It's irrelevant what happens on the external. And the external is always surprising. So it never shows up the way you think it is going to. And that's fine. It should be surprising. It should be something that is always surprising and entertaining. But what matters is what happens internally. And I know how that story goes. And it's similar on the external, but how it looks is what's surprising. But allegorically, it's the same story. So the story plays out externally, but in a surprising way. So, even though the process, like I've been showing in my videos of the one story, which is all about the Kundalini connection, that story is what is playing out externally. And so we're at the end of the story right now. And how it manifests could be any number of ways. So if there's a fight, it's the fight between the red and the blue, they're going to duke it out. But like, that's why it's not beneficial to you if you're in that camp, if you're caught up in the conspiracy camp and you think that that's the solution. You're going to get caught up in that physical war. If you are above that duality fight, then you won't get caught up in it, because you know that it's just a story. You know that it is not real. Everything going on outside is to wake the Kundalini up within the people, activate the dormant DNA. Indeed, yeah. So yes, it's just like what I just said. Everything that happens outside is the physical manifestation of the internal process of the Kundalini connection. So that's the same story that has to play out externally as well. Susie, they are already there on a farmstead, and we're going to share growing veg and flowers. That sounds like a nice place to live. I know, my cat has not interrupted us. She's having a nap. She knows that she doesn't have my attention, so today she's having a nap. Spiritual war after the psyche, the soul. Well, you can look at it that way, but it isn't really. You're at war with yourself. It's an internal battle. Stop. Storming, gaslighting, and taking sides does seem to indicate physical fighting inevitably. Yeah, blame storming. That's a new one. It does, for sure, Glenn. I mean, the way, like the way people are talking and everything, and like the anger and frustration and all of that, it's leaning in that direction. Katie too. Hello. Restore Rocks. Thoughts on needing to clear energy of items secondhand used have recently been told to do this? Yeah. A lot of the stuff, like, not everything that I buy, even brand new things, but not everything that I buy do I cleanse. But yeah, because you're bringing in other people's energy into your home. But there's certain items that may have negative associations, even for your own things, that you can clear through cleansing. You can use like smudging tools or whatever, sage, and use the smoke. It does help. It does. I used to smudge my house before before people, because smoke is a purifier, just like like fire, water. So whenever I move into a place, I clean it top to bottom, even the walls and everything, and then I will smudge it using sage smoke, because in doing so, I am taking ownership of it with my energy, and I'm clearing out any of the old energy that was here. And sometimes, like, painting will do that as well, because you are putting your energy and attention into every corner of the place, and in painting the walls and everything. So you can do that as well every time you clean your place. Those who endure to the end will be saved to go all the way. Yeah, I've heard that too. Basically, what I've heard is that the ones who make it through do not die. I mean, we don't die anyway, because you inherit an eternal life. Like, the whole point of it is to regain your immortality, which we're already immortal, but you don't go through the recycling system unless you want to. But you're connected to your higher self, your archetypal self. So those two are joined. And so you understand your eternal life, and so you don't experience death. Doesn't mean the death doesn't happen. You don't experience the death. So it's all about perspective. Everything, like consciousness, is understanding the levels of perception and perspective. Have you come across the Chosen 144 YouTube channel? No, I haven't. But typically, like, the Chosen 144 stuff is usually around Christian stuff, and it's usually tainted somehow. I'm not saying that one is, because I don't know it, but do you think there are 144,000 here who are chosen, or is it just the total of 9, meaning those who are conscious? I think it is 9, the ones who rise, but there are not many of us. So who knows? It could literally be 144,000. I doubt it, but there are not many who. I don't like the term chosen, because it implies that if you're going to look at it in terms of God, like, they're God's chosen people, but God's not a respecter of persons. So to say that certain people are chosen to rise, it implies that they're special somehow, and they're above other beings that are here, which isn't necessarily so. It's more to do with this whole process that we're going through. I guess you can look at it as a school, in a sense, where the whole point of being here is to rise into Christ consciousness, to have a human experience. So we rise and fall, and if you don't realize that there's a way out, then you just continue the up and down. You continue the cycle until you do realize there's a way out. But some people, like, we want to have this experience. We want to experience what it's like to be human and forget what it's like to be a god. So from my perspective, they're not chosen. They chose themselves. They already were that. It's just a matter of remembering. So the other beings that are here that are not chosen are the ones who are NPCs and never were supposed to awaken in the first place. Or they're beings with the potential to rise who haven't done it yet. So they just have more to go in their journey. So it's, to me, it's more to do with the frequency. It's about rising into Christ consciousness. It's the frequency of 9, and it isn't specifically 144,000 people who were chosen to be special, which is why I don't tend to follow those types of channels, because they tend to talk about these people as being God's special chosen people. And if you listen to it, I've talked about the chosen ones a few times, and the language they use, it's not helpful in your ascension process if you think that you're chosen because you're not going to do any work. You think that you're already chosen, so it's, it's done. And most people who are in that sort of community, you look at how many people think that they're chosen ones. I mean, some of these channels have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and it kind of plays into your ego. And ego is not you don't want to be attached to this idea that you're, some God's chosen people. The whole point is to remember who you are. And it's, from my experience, it goes back to your archetype. It goes back to the role you play in this story as a mirror of who you really are outside of the story. So all of it is a reflection of you, and that is here to show you who you really are. And so the idea of the chosen ones kind of takes you away from that. So that's why I don't really pay much attention to it, and it plays into ego too much. If you die before you die, you do not die when you die. Yes, exactly. The whole point is like the losing of the flesh. You leave the physical behind. You have no attachments to the physical world. So you died. You died to the physical. You died to who you are in this lifetime. And you realize that it's not real. It's a play. And then you are resurrected as your archetypal self. So you die before you die. And then when the death comes, you realize it's not real. So you're not attached to it anymore. You don't experience it anymore. I hate the word chosen because of that ego. Yeah. And I think that the chosen doesn't even mean what people think it means in the Bible. So, I mean, there is the 144,000 is in the Bible, but it is about the ones who reach Christ consciousness. So, yeah, it does play to ego, which prevents you from rising. So, if you attach yourself to that idea and that notion, it prevents you from rising. Same with the new age. It's very similar to the new age ascension path of like, here's your ascension symptoms. It's not going to help you. Apotheosis, I love your wisdom, sister. Thank you very much. But I feel God truly heard my cries, and they know I have good intentions. So that's why I have a home, a dog, and 9 black cats. God is good. You are God. You created that. You brought it into your life. It's like, it's, I mean, it is and it isn't, right? You are, so if you look at it from the perspective, like the physical perspective, and saying that you're the one who brought it into your life, I mean, that's the sort of antichrist perspective, where it's all physical, and you get things through hard work and toil and trouble and suffering. And that's the beast system, the 666, the lower consciousness. And if you're looking at things from that perspective, and you will say that you're the one who did it, you did it, which is ego, then there's the looking at it as God did it, so it has nothing to do with me, God did it. So then you have annihilated yourself, and then you're placing everything externally on something else, which is the opposite of the ego. However, both are equally incorrect. You merge the two. It's the God in you that did it. So you are God, and God is you. You, the I am, did it. So it's like, yes, God did it, but you are God. So it's kind of a subtle thing, but it is it does make a difference. Why are there 12 zodiac signs? I've had many syncs around 12 at the moment, trying to understand it. Because we literally live on a clock. So the clock has 12 hours, and the zodiac sign has 12 signs, and there's 12 months in a calendar. So there's 12 cranial nerves in the head. It's all fractal, and we literally live on a clock. So it bothers me when people say there's no such thing as time. Time is man-made construct. Time is not a man-made construct. We literally live on a clock. We are inside a clock. We are locked in time, trapped in time. That's what this world is. It is a time trap. And we are, Chronos is the god of time, and it has put a lock on this world, which is Uranus, and it has taken control, which is the cubed consciousness, the cross. So we have to get off the cross. We have to get out of the cubed consciousness, get the head out of the box. So we're in the clock. And your job is to get out of the clock, which is why in Back to the Future, it's all about the clock tower, and the electricity kills Father Time. So that's the electricity killing Father Time within the head, because the head is what keeps us in time. So it's not a man-made construct, it is a mind-made construct. So it's different. It's a consciousness creation. And this is the lower mind consciousness that has separated everything by time. This is so that we can make sense of things. And once you realize that there is no time, but time is all happening now, then you can get free of time and live in the vertical of now. So you can affect the events and see things all as now, which is a completely different perspective. Again, with the perspective, it's all about perspective. So yes, time does exist in a sense, because it's how we make sense of this world. It's how we can see things in a linear fashion, because that's how the movie plays out for us. Otherwise, it'd be a big, mess of chaos. But it is not a man-made construct in the way a lot of people try to tell you that it is. It is a consciousness creation, Saturn creation, and that's what's locked us into this system. So it's not bad. It's just what it is. So it's just right now, the way things are is we are at the mercy of time. We want to get we want to regain control of it. So it's back to perception. The 13th sign is not real. I was asking in a gaming dream the question, when does role-playing stuff become canon law in the game? The answer was when the game makers respond to the role play. All the months, I don't quite understand that. When does role-playing stuff become canon law? When the game makers respond to the role play. That's interesting. Okay, so people in the game are doing things, and then the people who created the game notice that people are doing these things, and they make it into a law. Interesting. I guess it's similar to how it works here. All the months or moons are messed on purpose. September means 7, October means 8. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Yep. But there's still 12 months. So the saying, life is what you make it, is true to some extent. You still operate, everything is already created. You're still operating within the limitations of who you really are and the infinite possibilities that are created based on who you are. You will never want anything outside of who you are. So there is a story that plays out for you, but there's different ways for that story to play out. But essentially that story plays out. Should be 13 months. They used a tortoise shell, which has 13 sections. They used to use tortoise shell, which has 13 sections. If you go by the lunar calendar, I think there's 13 months. Like Hunger Games. Time is money. If you tip a dollar sign on its side and lengthen it, it looks like a timeline. Sine wave? Yeah, it looks like a sine wave. Because money comes from moon, moony, money, monai, one eye. CC, excellent chat. Well, thanks for dropping by. Nobody knows. Even in the movie Lucy, she explains the concept of time. Without it, we wouldn't exist. Exactly. Yeah. Because time is what slows things down, so that, because if everything's happening now, how do you make sense of it? So everything has to slow down so you can make sense of it. I don't know how I spell my cat's name. Ixi, YKSI. It means one in Finnish. It's a Finnish word. Glenn, 13 moon months in a year. Yeah, moon months. Sine wave, yeah. Have I heard of Publius Enigma? I have not. Gliding forward, welcome. I haven't heard of that. No, what is it? If you haven't already, please give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying this conversation. Yeah, I agree. My story led me to truth. Yeah. In the Ice Age era, they followed a lunar calendar. Well, I mean, you can pretty much follow a lunar calendar if you want. It's just the solar calendar is dominant right now because we live in the solar world. So if the lunar calendar was dominant, we'd be in the lunar world. So I mean, if you want to follow a lunar calendar, you can, but it's still part of the star story. Star story doesn't change. I agree. My story. Oh, I already read that. I don't even agree. I don't even believe there was an ice age. I don't think that's possible. If some cryptic stuff related to Pink Floyd album, The Division Bell. It's some cryptic stuff related to Pink Floyd album. Yeah, I've heard that there's a lot of symbolism in Pink Floyd. There's a lot of symbolism in a lot of stuff. But yeah. Aristocat, apply the non-existent theory of gravity to the like button. Appreciate that. Thank you. I don't know what that's about. From 29 to 2. Hey, there's 33 likes. Ixie. So, all right, well, I'm going to have to end it here, but thank you very much. It's been a great conversation. If you enjoyed this conversation and you like my work, consider joining as a member to keep this work going. I can only keep going if I can pay my bills doing it, because if I do a full-time job, I don't have time to do this as well. So it's not that I know this is what I'm meant to do, and we're nearing the end of the story. So this information is really important, really valuable. So if you like what I do, if you want to just drop a tip, you can do that as well. If you want to join the membership, there's access to additional material, and I will be putting out a new decode for Tiffany Gomez, possibly Tuesday, provided nothing new comes up, but I should be able to get it out Tuesday. And it's really, really good, really juicy stuff in there. So make sure you don't miss that. And everything's been going to be going through my website, so make sure you don't miss out. Yeah, and you also get access to a newsletter and blog posts in there. So there's currently a video for Tiffany Gomez. There's a video for the Poseidon Adventure, the Johnny Depp decode on the Dark Shadows story, and also the decode on Free Guy in there. And make sure, if you would like to continue this discussion, you become a member of the Discord group, which is free. And there's a lot of really good people in there, like-minded individuals who have lots to share and some very positive, supportive energy. So thank you so much for all of your comments. Nice video. Thank you, Starshine. Appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe and join me next week, same time, every Sunday, for live chats like this. Appreciate it. Susie, Apotheosis, have no fear. Ask for Aristocrat. Love you guys. Thank you very much. Great chat. Talk to you later. Bye for now.